how gaming affects your brain over time, backed by research. I thought, I think I know it like increases your like if you do a lot of quick time events like in games, it like increases like your motor control or whatever. Like you're faster at reacting. But I think that's over like a couple years that I feel like I've heard of that somewhere. But I'm interested to see.
Have you ever wondered what gaming is actually doing to your brain over the long term? Most people see gaming as simply entertainment, a way to relax, switch off for a while. But there's much more happening than you might realise. In this study, participants completed cognitive tests before and after playing a video game, allowing researchers to measure exactly how gameplay influenced mental performance. So to understand what gaming is really doing to the brain, we need to start with what happens the very moment you begin playing.
You lock in.
The moment you begin playing a game, your brain becomes active. While this may sound pretty obvious, there's a lot of depth to what active really means. Researchers explain that increasing cognitive and motor processing increases brain activity beyond passive observation. In other words, when you're actively interacting with something instead of simply watching it, the brain has far more work to do. And video games demand that kind of interaction immediately. The first system involved is perception. The brain has to read the environment on the screen. It recognizes characters, objects.
Do you ever like play a game? And you're like, it's on either a controller or on like your computer, like you're like playing a game like Fortnite or something, and you're just like, you're watching like what your brain, like you're watching yourself play the game, right? And then you look down and your fingers are just like going crazy, and it's like you don't even realize like how fast and where your hands are. Like even on like computer, like when I was playing Resident Evil 9, I literally like my hands were going like all over my keyboard and I didn't even register that. Like I was like moving my mouse and doing stuff with my keyboard. It was crazy. Like I looked down, I was like, oh my god, like I'm like going a million miles a second. I don't even realize that. Like my hands are just going everywhere. Especially on controller too, when you have so many like buttons and you have to press them and stuff. Oh my god.
Locations, movement,
It low-key messes me up. I like look, I'm like, oh my god. And then I die.
and changes within the world. Every second, new visual information appears, and the brain has to make sense of it quickly enough to understand what's happening. Once the situation is understood, another process begins. The brain has to choose an action. Games constantly present small decisions. Move forwards, turn backwards, attack, avoid, follow a path, explore somewhere new. The brain evaluates the situation and selects a response. That decision then has to become a physical movement. Signals travel from the brain to the hands, guiding the small motions required to operate the controller. These signals tell you which buttons to press, how to move the analog sticks, and obviously the character on the screen responds accordingly. So this is the loop that's created. The brain observes what's happening, decides how to respond, and then carries out that decision through physical movement. While this loop is happening, another important system becomes involved. The study explains that gameplay stimulates a region of the brain called the hippocampus. The hippocampus plays a central role in spatial awareness. It helps the brain understand environments and how locations relate to each other. As you explore a game world, this system becomes active. The brain begins organising information about the environment. It tracks where areas are positioned, how routes connect to each other, how to get from A to B, alternative routes and routes to avoid. Scientists observe this activity through something called metabolic activity in the brain. This simply means that the brain is using more energy. When neurons are active, they require energy to send signals between each other.
Space, bro.
The more active those systems become, the more energy that the brain consumes. During gameplay, that energy use increases.
Huh.
This is important. This is what shows the brain is not idle while you play. This is what tells us that the brain is indeed active.
I low-key like after playing like a game for a really long time and I get off, I low-key like I feel lightheaded. Like I like get off, I'm like, oh, like that was so stressful. Especially playing RE9, like after I was done, I literally like I had to like, oh my god. I streamed for like 5 hours one time while I was trying to beat the game, and I just remember sitting there being like, oh, I'm so tired. My brain hurts. Everything hurts. Oh my god. Felt like such a chud.
Once researchers understood how active the brain becomes during gameplay, the next question was, does that activity actually improve anything? To answer that, the study introduced a simple experiment. Participants were given a memorization task where they had to remember visual information.
Oh hell.
Their scores were recorded so that researchers could establish a starting point. After that, the participants played a video game for 15 minutes. When the gameplay ended, they were given another memory test. This allowed the researchers to measure whether the mental engagement created by the game had any immediate effect on cognitive performance. And the results showed a clear change. Participants performed better on the memory test after playing the game than they had before. The statistical probability value reported in the study was 0.048. In scientific research, any value below 0.05 is considered statistically significant. This means that there's less than a 5% chance that the improvement happened randomly. In other words, the increase in memory performance was very likely connected to the gameplay itself.
Interesting.
The researchers then looked for an explanation. Why would such a short period of gameplay improve memory performance? The answer lies in how the brain processes information. Psychologists refer to this as deep processing. When information is simply observed, the brain processes it at a shallow level. But when the brain must actively work with information, responding to it, making decisions based on it, that processing becomes deeper.
Yo, I might play Ghost of Yotai. That low-key looks fire.
Information processed in this way becomes easier for the brain to store and retrieve later. Games naturally create this kind of engagement. The player is constantly working with information. Situations constantly change, new problems appear, and the brain has to adapt to them in real time. Because of that interaction, the brain is not just seeing the information passively, it's actively working with it. And that type of engagement strengthens how the brain stores and recalls information. Over time, this repeated engagement produces something many players recognise from their own experience. The worlds inside games begin to feel familiar. You remember where places are, you know which paths lead somewhere quickly and which ones don't. Moving through the world becomes easier because your brain's already organised that information for you. Researchers refer to these internal representations as cognitive maps. The brain builds a structured understanding of the environment, allowing the player to navigate it more efficiently each time they return. And this ability is a direct result of the brain actively working with the information while playing. But the implications of this kind of mental engagement go beyond memory alone. And the way it responds to regular stimulation becomes even more important as time passes. To understand why this kind of mental activity even matters, the study also looks at how the brain changes over time. Researchers reference a much larger dataset involving 3,305 people between the ages of 16 and 44. What they found is that the brain's response time begins to decline around the age of 24. This doesn't mean that the brain suddenly stops working properly, it simply means that certain processes begin to slow down gradually as part of normal biological aging. There are physical reasons for this. As we age, some of the nerve fibres that carry signals through the brain begin to change, and some connections between neurons weaken. Because of this, information can take slightly longer to travel through the brain than it did when we were younger. But this decline is a slow and natural process. However, the study makes an important point. How quickly these changes affect us can be influenced by how much the brain is used. The researchers explain that mentally stimulating activities requiring concentration and coordination can help support brain activity. And as we discussed earlier, video games naturally demand exactly those kinds of mental skills. When you regularly challenge the brain, it adapts. Scientists refer to this ability as neuroplasticity. Neuroplasticity simply means the brain can reorganize itself based on what you repeatedly ask it to do. When certain tasks are performed again and again, the neural pathways responsible for those tasks become stronger and easier for the brain to use. You can see this happen in everyday life. Think about when you learn to drive a car. First time you sit behind the wheel.
Don't. That was so scary. The first time I drove was genuinely so scary. I cried. I wasn't even going anywhere. I got in the car. I have such a big, my number one fear is hitting someone, or like just hitting someone or hitting something and it being like all my fault. I think I'd like die, honestly. And I actually had dreams so I got like my permit, right? And then my dad told me, okay, we're gonna practice driving on these days, so get ready to drive on these days. And I literally, like, I had dreams up until those like days that I was supposed to drive, that I was like behind the wheel and I hit someone, and like, or like I was behind the wheel and I hit something and I was like freaking out, or like I did something wrong, or I don't know. And I literally started freaking out. And then the first time that I got behind the wheel, I started crying, and my dad was like, we're literally just gonna go around the neighborhood. Like, we're just gonna practice turns, and like, that's it. I didn't merge anywhere. I didn't go on. I didn't do any. I literally was just driving around the neighborhood. I was crying. I was so scared. I genuinely, I don't know why. Like, I used to get so much anxiety, like, leading up to driving. And then while driving, I'd have so much anxiety. Like, girl, it is not that bad. Like, I genuinely don't know why my body would just get like into like fight or flight. Like, it's just driving. It's fine. Like, I'm at a point now where I'm like more comfortable, you know, I'm more confident. I think it's because I wasn't confident in myself at all when I first started driving. But like now I'm like more confident on the road, like I know what I'm doing, like I know how things work. And it's also like the fear of like trying something new. Like, I have a really big fear of like going someplace new. So when I drive and I have like maps on and I'm going someplace new, I get really anxious because I don't know where I'm going. Like, I don't know what to do. Like it's kind of like it's a new place. But I genuinely like I had like I wanted to like throw up, like going to the DMV or driving. Like, my dad would be like, okay, we're driving today. Like, I would just get like, oh my god, so much anxiety. It's not that bad. Jesus.
Everything feels overwhelming. You're thinking about the pedals, the mirrors, the steering wheel, the gear stick, the traffic around you.
The other day, I also don't like driving other people's cars because, again, if like I crash it, like, that's really bad because I was the one driving. But what was I gonna say? I actually drove my friend's car the other day, and it felt like I was back in like learning how to drive. Like, I know how to drive, right? But driving her car, I literally had to pay attention to like how fast I was going, and because like her family has her Life 360 and you can see how fast she's going. And she was driving, she got a call from her dad to be like, you're going too fast. So when it switched to me, I was like, okay, I can't go too fast. I was checking my mirrors because I don't know the dimensions of her car. Like, it's like, I know the dimensions of my car, so I don't really have to check I know I'm in the middle lane, but her car was different, so I have to constantly check the lanes, make sure I'm in my lane. Like, oh, I have to turn, like, where's the windshield wipers? Like, where am I even going? Like, I had to pay attention to like the maps, and then I had to pay attention if I'm in my lane, and then I had to pay attention to the speed I was going. Oh my god. It was literally just like driving, like learning how to drive all over again. I had a lot of anxiety doing that. Oh my god. Don't let me drive your car, please. Please don't do that to me. Just please.
Everything. It feels like way too many things are happening at once. But after weeks or months of driving, those actions start to feel natural, almost automatic. Your brain has strengthened the pathways involved in those tasks. Gaming works in a similar way. The more time you spend navigating the game world, the easier it becomes to move through it. You start remembering locations without thinking about it. You know where certain paths lead, you recognise significant or even insignificant landmarks. You know how to get from one side of the map to the other without even opening the map screen. Your brain has built and strengthened the pathways needed to understand the environment. The study also explains that these changes can sometimes be seen physically inside the brain. Researchers note that the grey matter of the brain can change in volume and density when it's regularly engaged with decline. Aging continues regardless. Unfortunately, that's just something we're not going to stop.
Also, YouTube audience, I have a Twitch. I stream reacts, and I'm streaming Red Dead 2 right now. So, yeah, it's linked in the description if you want to check it out. Yeah, I don't post the gaming content online because I don't want to edit it. So, yeah. By
playing Skyrim. But what the evidence does suggest is that the brain responds positively to regular mental engagement. Activities that challenge memory coordination, that demand your attention and require you to take action, these help keep those systems active as time moves forwards. And for many of us, gaming happens to be that activity. Time takes its toll on all of us eventually.
What the fuck?
And I guess it's just nice knowing that gaming, something many of us genuinely love and value, is given something back It gives us stories and characters that we care about, worlds we enjoy exploring, moments of joy that we experience ourselves or share with other people. And all the while, in the background, this joyful experience is keeping our brains...
Slime Rancher! Oh my god, don't play! I remember a couple years, I don't know when Slime Rancher came out, but on my Xbox I got it for free, I'm pretty sure. And for like a lot of summers, I literally would sit on my couch in my living room because I didn't have a PC. And or I didn't even have a PS5 at the time, but we had my Xbox. There's Xbox One. Or Xbox, no, it was my Xbox 360. Wait, did I play it on that? I don't know. But I would sit and then I would literally like have my tunes, like I had like my little speaker on, and then I would just sit on the couch and play Slime Rancher for hours. Hours, okay? It just like hit like a neuron in my brain that was like, I love this game. Like I would sit there for hours. Like I beat the game so many times. I actually haven't tried Slime Rancher 2. I low-key might try that. But I just remember, like, I knew where everything was. Like, I watched tutorials. I watched playthroughs about Slime Rancher. Like, don't play.
active and our minds engaged.
That was my shit.
Gaming helps to improve our memory, whilst creating some of the best memories that we're going to hold on to. It's not groundbreaking, life-changing cognitive improvements, but it's something. It's enough. We can confidently say that moderate gaming isn't just fun, it's healthy. Now, as you may or may not know, I'm not the best at goodbyes, so...
I like this. I like this. I would subscribe. I like his content.